Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday. I hope everyone is doing as well as they can. We have a couple of questions. And one of them is from Catherine in Vancouver. And she says the state beyond the demon keepers, or gatekeepers, on the totem pole of heads in the Eastern icon. She's referring to a single icon, I believe. I am referring to the top of the head. I'm going to read the whole thing first and then comment later. This you described as a state where no attachments can be to the self. I know that words are difficult to describe this, but if the depiction of the state is not just perception, but there's no perceiver and just experience because there is no perceiver, then presumably it is a state of pure selfless consciousness. I cannot stop wondering about this state. And yet, simultaneously, there is a fearful, restless aspect in me right now, and it's afraid of stopping. It's afraid of boredom. It's afraid of emptiness. It's afraid of meditating. It's afraid of, of the stillness in me, and it's asking, what could the point be of merging into this state? Can you help me to move through this fear? Let's start by trying to understand what those icons are about. We have a kind of disturbing thing as we relate to those chakras in the understanding of what they even mean. Because primarily in our world, those chakras are usually a bunch of beads lit up in certain frequencies or colors, and when they all come together, it is often thought, not always by everybody, you have now fulfilled a high level of function related to these particular planes. It's not that simple. And when you're engaging with something like this, especially when there's a demon-like figure coming out of the top of the head that might have its purpose, there's one thing that we have to remember. Our particular emotional, actually mental development on these planes is not very high. And I know that's annoying to hear. So let me try and put it a different way. One kind of simple way, or simplistic way a little bit, of explaining that is when the root center reaches up, brings energy upward through the spine or off the spine to the top of the head, that is one level of physical development. It's pretty interesting because it's still related to pretty well terra firma, this plane, anything and everything we do physically. Oh boy. Then we add the second level, which is the gonad center, or the will center, aligning with that root or position and place center in our world, and bringing its intensity up to the top of the head. Now you have a predominance of tremendous willfulness that can be attended to by focus. Okay. Then the next level, one could say. The solar plexus, strong emotional component, And this is presumed by many who are trying to understand this stuff to be where some of the relationship with growth, internal growth or spiritual growth, whatever you want to call it, or inner growth, is focused. Meaning the three lower centers come together. The solar plexus becomes kind of the major thruster, and energy comes up and heads for the top of the head. And in fact, it is often thought and presumably desired by many people that will give them tremendous levels of power and capacity to engage in the world as if they are tremendously able and wondrously spiritual, and they can talk about it in a kind of a way of engaging, a way of speaking. In other words, still self-focused and primarily power-based. It's a dilemma, because this question relates directly to that idea. In some icons, there is a kind of a raging form that comes out of the solar plexus as it veers up to the top of the head, the energy that is, but it's still focused on the individual's personalized version of how you need to be really important on these levels. In some icons, it's the crown center that has this. In some, even it's the throat center that has this demon-like form or aggressive form. That icon is supposed to be something like Catherine is saying. It's if you still have personalized attachments to your own importance, which covers our world pretty clearly, then in fact there is an aspect of that higher state or the higher chakra, one could say, because these are symbolic references, metaphors, as well as being real energetically, in that you are not able to reach an extremely high state because you are held from doing so. But you can reach relatively high states in accordance with the views of these planes, because basically the view of these planes hasn't got any idea of what that means. A unity within, with a version of self, the personality self, that is constructed to be kind of a tool for the purpose of a higher state. No one likes to hear that one, and I don't blame them. Because all of us are involved with a kind of sense of personal engagement with life. If we don't have it, we're in a lot of trouble. We can't function here. Just realize that that's an important event at the level of how we function here. So this is a spiritual orientation. One could say that in such a way that if you cross into another level, you begin to know that there is a difference between these planes and another number of planes that exist. We often call them different names, but spiritual planes that really don't have a focus on one being great because they attain it. something else begins to happen. There is kind of a link that gets stronger with other states where you are participating in enabling others to become less focused on their own self-interest or version of what spirituality looks like or should look like according to the rules and regulations of these planes. It was meant to suggest to those who were growing that if your focus was on yourself being important for the growing, then you were still on these planes, and you weren't really engaged with higher states. You were engaged with energy that could enable you to do things that were different than the norm on these planes. This is really hard for us to understand because we religiously engage with others relative to wanting our way versus their way. And not always in a harsh way, but in a kind of wishful way. And sometimes in a harsh way. People do this, as you can see in the world, not only individuals, but groups of people. Not only groups of people, but nations. Not only nations, but whole clusters of folk who align with each other about how things should be. Even to the point where strong physical demonstrations of power are necessary to get your way. And we don't think about this as often as we might, because we can't. We're in alignment with views and recognitions of this and that and the other thing that we think are ethical, unethical, valuable, powerful, part of our gang, stuff like this all through the world. It is hard to listen to. And I understand how difficult that can be because we don't automatically understand that it might be difficult for us to see those things in us as we engage with life on a daily basis. But if we're on our own, we seldom see them. But if we're around other people, we can hear other people. And we also can hear ourselves or sense ourselves inside taking different stances than other folks may. That means we're on this level, engaging with our first three centers, one could say theoretically, and expressing that energy and that focus on these planes in a manner that legitimately we believe might be necessary. And that's the dilemma. And that's how difficult this is to explain, as well, as Catherine says. Because when you are engaging at these levels, you have opinions and options. It's part of the emotional thinking process, and it needs to be there for us to attempt to construct an understanding beyond what we understand currently. Whatever that might mean. Or try to stop ourselves from thinking beyond what we currently think. We have strong defenses in that department. And we are vulnerable there. So if a person separates spiritual growth from engaging in life, which we often can do, we tend to do that kind of thing in our groupings of how we think spirituality should be. And there are various kinds. And we feel kind of vulnerable if someone begins to say, well, here's the deal. If we begin to actually grow internally, and if we understand that our personality is an internal structure which we use on the outside for purposes that relate to engaging on a daily basis, then what then would constitute an engagement at a higher state of such a height that there is an opening into a higher plane of reference when we can barely handle our mundane levels of reference, because we have all kinds of interactions with various ways of thinking and various ways of engaging with life. So on a theoretical basis, here we go. One can say that you gain access to a level where your own importance is virtually almost nil at these levels. In other words, you refuse to engage with these levels to elevate yourself into a position that is really important, because if you do that, you pull yourself back into these states and act like these states act now. Why would that happen? Because energetically, these states are profoundly strong. There are more people on at this level who are engaging at levels that are developmental at best, meaning they're learning, as we all are. Now, wow, that sounds a little bit weird. So, if some of these sages say, if you meditate, and I've heard one yogi say this, he said, if you meditate 3 hours a day, consistently, you cannot help but break through into a disinterest about what happens here. What's that mean? You become disinterested in your level of relationship with these levels of existence. This is not a verbal thing. This is an existent thing. That is an experience. While another person sitting here on these planes would say, that means that you have no interest. And then what are you worth? What is your value? And the answer might be, I don't care to be worth something relative to these planes, because that means I will be elevating myself into a position of importance, which is just the same as everybody else is doing. No issue. That's what we do, to the best of our ability, or in some particular manner that relates to a version of what you believe things have to be like to be comfortable or comforted by your particular actions. This is just real in our world at that other level, and it would make you feel vulnerable, as Catherine says it does to her. If you have no worth in accordance with these planes, do you have worth in accordance with spiritual planes? But they're not separate. People are living here with no interest in being looked upon as important from this level to that level, whatever that level might be. Well, how could that possibly be? Because there's no one on this planet that actually is, unless they verbalize something like that, and it's just nonsense, important. There's an ache to be of some value within the construct of our personality's engagement with will, with existence, with how we have learned, with our history, with our sense of ability to just communicate with others. And and that's not only traditional, but it's been very important for us in our past, because friends have helped us when we couldn't do something, and we have helped them when they couldn't do something. And I think it sounds like it's tribal, and it may well be tribal of a kind, but there is a caring that goes on. If you have other people who think exactly like you have a reflex to think that they must be okay. They may not be. In our world, people are getting to the point where they decide how to engage with you so that it suits you. And they think that when they're doing that you're not going to catch on. And you do catch on. Either right away, somewhere in the middle ground, or eventually. Because it shows up. Shows up in a kind of perception or awareness. It seems to spark an insight within somehow along the line, because that is being transmitted to you, there we go again, and you are perceiving it with your nervous system and your brain unknowingly. In our world, it's not really treated like that too well because we don't do a lot of science in that department, but we are understanding that there's something a wee bit strange going on. And if that strangeness is not involved with the category of how we live life, then we feel a little weirdness. And we try to figure out what that is. And of course, then we use our natural way of figuring stuff out based on our own backgrounds and our own beliefs, our own recognitions, understandings, and our own elevated engagement with life, whatever that may be, or non-elevated. It's very fascinating how we do these things. We are very complicated beings. We're not bad beings, but we're complicated, one could say. So when you engage at a level, no matter how infrequent, where there is deep caring, loving going on, you begin to understand how vulnerable we are in those circumstances, our trust levels. there's a meter there. And that meter starts getting pulsing. It starts pulsing. Then your assessment of the meter goes on. We do this all the time. And natural stuff. If you haven't seen that in yourself, I'm surprised, because most of you are bright and capable. It's just the way it works. And all of us have blank spots. Spots where those meters don't flash as well. As I said so when I started this. However, in that higher state, it's not some big monster that shows up. The monster is us. We show up. We don't do everything perfectly all the time. It's just the way it works. We're human beings. And we truly are human beings. We might believe we do everything all the time, but we don't. It's just not real. So we are vulnerable as human beings unto ourselves. And when this real inner growth starts, there are certain things that happen. Number one, you begin to be more aware, even more aware than the practiced awareness that you have at doing a job or living a life in a certain way. You become, there's a broader awareness. It's if you see something, but you didn't notice it, and suddenly it shows up, and you see it. And you say, what? How come I didn't see that before? And this can happen with your best friends. This can happen with you. Often it's, with many of us, it's you're the last one to know. Because your system, your resonant functioning system, is there engaging with others based on your past systems training, one could say. And some of us have had quite a bit of training there, and external training as well, in whatever jobs we've had or experiences we've had, all of that. But often, even then, we don't see things perfectly. It's the way it works. But we do tend to think we see them very, very well. We cannot perceive that spiritual flow unless we have the experience of at least having it happen, which can be soft, beautiful, gentle. And it doesn't come out of the speaking of it, it comes out of the experience of it. It tends to pull you back into a place where you're almost watching things happen instead of engaging and directing things, and that happened because of whatever. It's an energetic thing. And I know that is really hard to put into an expression related to life. We feel the wind of a breeze outside or a hurricane. We can engage with energy that relates maybe to a person's intensity. But prior to that, or let's say beyond that, there is an ability to perceive energy that we can cultivate. And some have called it instinct, some intuition. But I'm talking about it right into the physical. You can perceive that flow coming in a direction within you. You can perceive it in you. It's not perfect. Just another awareness. In saying that, it sounds like as if it's an ownership thing. The personality can do that, it owns it, and it can do it because the I of that individual is extremely important, and therefore they can do that. That's the dilemma that metaphor is trying to tell you something about. When you gain access to that, you can see the difference between you, your personality, stylistic engagement, and you're watching something happen that is not coming from you, that is not coming from you. It's coming in and through you, or it is in you and you're watching it do its thing and you are not directing it. Not a bit of wonder anybody would get nervous about that. And that was the reason why it was expressed in an iconic way, as a metaphor, which is really difficult for us to understand. We don't think always metaphorically. We think pretty reflexively often. Your first instinct is not always right. Your first instinct is often right, but not always right. You shift into another level and you're watching your instinct tell you something while you are watching something else occur, and the first instinct doesn't know it's going on like that. That's the metaphor of this icon. It doesn't mean that you are annihilated as an individual is perceiving. You are perceiving something and calling it yours because you believe you are the one who is there and the only thing that perceives. You do not understand, as most of us don't, that the perceiver is a form. We are perceiving something, and then we have to do it relative to what we believe it should be like versus what it is. So we have this need to evaluate. And that's the personality you constructed. When that is quiet, and that is the reference, when that is quiet and not interfering with what you're perceiving, you still perceive. But you perceive the perceiver and that flow energetically of that thing that is you, that is flowing in you for the purpose of helping you to exist as a form. Wow, if that's not complicated, I don't know what is. I apologize for not being perfect in my expression. I do the best with I can with that. But the dilemma with our levels is that everything that is in our reference point, we must believe whatever we engage with as us is ours. I mean, it's cut and dry. It's not cut and dry. But at our present level of understanding, it seems cut and dry. And therefore, we are worthwhile and worthy of being recognized as a good this, as an important that. I don't do well with this, don't do well with that, but I do well with that one, and this one, and this one. And it's how we do things because that's how we're trained to do things. We do not know necessarily exactly what we're doing. For example, many of us are over 20. Some of us are quite over 20. But in our existence, in our lives, many of us have had experiences where we say something and we don't know where it came from, if we're trying to be honest with ourselves. It's as if there's another aspect of us. Sometimes it's not very friendly. And sometimes it's extremely brilliant. We are complicated. We're not only what we see and what we interpret. But our difficulty is holding that envelope tightly so that we can ensure that others see us in relationship to a value. And the value depends on how we see how things should be. So people have been put down on their life, then they scream and want to be never again put down, so that causes real complex problems. People who have had decent, fundamental upbringing, whatever that looks like, from their perspective, they see everything in that plane and they treat everybody relative to their upbringing. People who had extremely great upbringing in relationship to whatever you can imagine, because there are different, rules about that. Then the reflexes are based on how much value they have in the world already and are trained to be valued at that level. It interferes with engaging with life in some manner that might be in the middle. If we open that up a bit and try to understand those simplistic words of mine about how we function in the world, then we basically are trying to understand something about ourselves. Is it okay to do that? Yeah, it is. But it's just not okay to put yourself down. And it's not okay to elevate yourself out of such a height that you're not even reasonable in the world, because you end up putting other people down. Trying to do some reconnoitering, discovery, whatever that means. It means, why did I respond that way or this way? Don't have to do that 24/7. Listen to the tones that you engage with. When they're high, wonder about them. When they're sad and wonder about them. Try to get them into the middle ground so you can perceive more than you're allowed to based on your inner training. In the world of spiritual growth, meditation has always been a form of prayer. It's always been that way. You can call it whatever you want. In Buddhism, They hope to engage with a level related to how Buddha attained that level by various means, various mantras even, prayers that are repeated, that align with a supposed relationship with the tones and frequencies of that level of attainment. It is the same for every other religious background. It's the same for any scientific background. It's the same for any atheistic background. What do I mean by that? If you don't believe in anything, you only believe in yourself, you will be in alignment with yourself. And the tones that you believe are wondrous on your part to being the you believe is a very valuable high state. Now you can have all kinds of ethics, and you can have all kinds of thinking about that, or none whatsoever. You can only be in reaction. Join the rest of the world. Most of us are in reaction every day of our lives. And the same is true when we become highly focused on a fear or any other emotional dispositional process that occurs within us, and there are many within us all. I mean, if you're being honest with yourself. And maybe you can't do that yet. Maybe it's only something that's too difficult yet. Okay, you're not a bad person. It's just too difficult yet. Then within you, you go slow. Back away from your need to be absolutely right. And if you get that perfectly, call me. I've never met anybody who's got it perfectly. Not in the middle of the night, though. That's reserved for other things. None of us get this right. But I've been fortunate enough to engage with folks who have been involved with the kind of level that Catherine is talking about that makes her nervous and vulnerable. It would make anyone nervous and vulnerable, Catherine, as we try to allow ourselves to open with one hand and with the other close the door. We do this all the time. Don't want to think anything other than what I already think. Because if I do, then who am I? It's the old favorite. Everybody uses that one, externally or internally. It's a bit scary. What will I have to change? Why would I have to do that? Nobody else is doing it. I'm better than this. I'm more able than that. All really nonsense at some stage in the game. But on these planes, directives. Not a comfortable situation here. So we do the best we can with it. Honestly. So as you grow, whatever it may mean to you, there is a link up and can be a link up with any alignment with higher states. Meaning you can perceive that wondrous, soft engagement, loving, empty feeling, but there's no negation in it. And no you in it. Even if you can do that for 2 minutes, you're really, well, at least having an experience. One experience doesn't mean you've attained anything. It means you've had the experience, so you know it's there. You didn't know it was there before. You did not. You don't get a gold star, but now you know. And you may even then wish to continue to know it more often. And press yourself like crazy, because you'll find the system or the valid way of doing this or that. Use your full personality, will, and capacity, and you're in the way. You're in the way. Let go. It could happen again. While you're waiting, live life and be happy. It's worth it for as long as you can. As long as your self-interest will let you. And if you're happy with your self-interest, stay with it until you see it. And if you do, pull back just a little bit. Help the rest of the people around you to enjoy life. And you try to do the same. I don't know how clear that was. I was trying to make it as clear as I could. Being a human being, I can only do that in my way. Of course, you may use other words and make it sound like it makes sense to you. Because that's the nature of what we do here. It's not a bad place. It's just interesting how we do things and how we are from time to time. We often are loving beings, and no matter what you do, you're a loving being too, because you are loving you the way you do you. There are various grades of loving. We're all learning about that. You could try and do that too, if you hadn't thought of it before, or if it was automatic for you, if you were the only one that was right, then you are loving you in that place. It doesn't mean it's true. It just means find out how you love you, and truly try to understand that. If you have an experience of love coming into you, it will shake your timbers. That, I believe, is true. I wish everybody well out there. And thank you, Catherine, for that particular question. I think we're going to meditate now, if I have the time right. And we'll do that, and then at the end of the meditation, I'll come on and say, and now we'll do the balancing and grounding. And if you're not very familiar with that, think of how you might engage in life in a moment where you feel close to a higher state, calling it whatever you will, and how you engage with that and end your time of listening in that particular manner until you understand something else. I wish you well. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Nam लीलाकल्पितब्रह्माण्डमण्डलाय नमो नमः षोडशाक्षरी मन्त्रमध्यमाये नमो नमः Prajapati Sutta Veshadhyaye Namo Namaha. Daksha Prajapati Sutta Veshadhyaye Namo Namaha. Om Sumavane Shukodanda Manditaye Namo Namaha.
Now we'll just do the bouncing and grounding, and have a good evening, everybody.